I went through a phase where I loved coffee chats. Now I want to be with my kids.
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm happy to have a conversation with you if there's, a specific thing that I can help your audience with or your company with. But outside of that, I want to be with these little people that I'm helping become, hopefully, really successful adults.
Welcome back to Amplify with the Jess Extra, where we amplify your ideas, your influence, and your income. Alrighty. Welcome back, everyone. Hello to all of our live viewers, including my mom. Hi. Hope the kids slept well for their nap. I'm so excited to be back here and on this show doing this live with my good friend, Kathryn Valentine.
Live. Happy to be here.
I know. We can't drop any F-bombs or say anything wrong, but...
By the way, Jess told me this was live 4 seconds
ago.
I'm
really sorry. I may have forgot. Small detail. But one of my favorite things about you is that we met in like a really high stakes, high pressure situation. We met backstage at a TED Talk that we were both doing.
Like the day before. It wasn't a rehearsal thing. It was time to go.
It was like showtime. And when I saw your like bio and everything that you've done from Harvard Business Review to Wall Street Journal, and you have clients like JP Morgan Chase, and you are just like absolutely out there crushing it, McKinsey, all these things. I was so pleasantly surprised to hear the first story in your TED Talk, which everyone needs to watch Kathryn Valentine's TED Talk as well. I don't even want to spoil it. Will you just tell the story that you know that I'm referring to get us started?
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So Jess is going to start with the biggest failure.
Yep.
Sure. So the first time I tried to negotiate, I was doing an MBA internship, which is like a job interview that lasts 2 months, basically. And I had done really well. And so I was trying to negotiate to be placed on another team in attempts to get this job. And I went in and spent all weekend preparing, went in and had my negotiation. And I totally inadvertently ended up offending the person that I was negotiating with. And as a result, it just very quickly derailed to you're no longer a culture fit, which we know means I wasn't going to get that job. And then once you weren't going to get the job, the internship doesn't make sense. And once you don't have the internship, oh, by the way, it's company protocol that this very large security officer is now going to escort you out of the building. And so my first negotiation attempt ended with me on a sidewalk and like that sad box of all of my things.
Like literally if you were going to draw a comic strip of like bad day at work.
That's right. And just a puddle of your own tears.
But then now you talk about negotiation and you speak about it, but really what you speak about is not negotiation, it's something else. What is it that people really need to know, especially women? Like what is negotiation? Because we think it's a higher salary. We think it's a promotion. We think it's money, which it could be. But what is it?
And I love that you meant like it could be any of those things. But what it really is what do you want right now? Like what does your richest life look like? And negotiation is just a tool to get you to that. And it might be that salary. It might be that you've always wanted this particular number. Okay, sure. Depending on your phase of life and, what's going on in your world, it might be time to care for, I once negotiated time to care for my grandmother.
Yeah.
It might be that you want to sit in on this really big meeting. It might be that you want the company to pay for an education or credibility. It could be a ton of different things. And so negotiation is just the tool to allow you to have the life that you want to have.
And you have in your keynote, which is phenomenal, by the way, you talk about your rich life design rules. And some of it, is really practical. Like, what is it that you want? But then there's some things that I never really thought about before. And it's a lot of like the different levers that we can pull in our life that aren't money that help create, quote, this rich life design. And it like, a really impactful moment was hearing you talking about visiting your grandparents. And can you tell me that story?
Yeah. So when I was growing up, I was raised by a single mom. And at that point in time in the town that we lived in, it wasn't very common to not have somebody at home. And so there was like no childcare for the summer. And so for the summer, my mother would put me on an airplane and ship me to South Texas, where I would live with my 76 and 78-year-old grandparents. And one of the things that was really funny about that experience is that from a young age, what I saw wasn't the choices that we make in our 20s, 30s, and 40s. What I saw was the impact of those choices in our 70s and 80s, where you chose to invest time, what you chose to prioritize, and how that plays out. And that was a lot of the rich life design part, which is not, especially now when we have all these messages being sent to us about what we're supposed to love or do or buy or spend our time. It's not, it's clearing out that noise and thinking about who you are and what you want and how to get that.
And you gave so many examples when you were talking about that summer with your grandparents of like the choices that we make in our 20s, 30s, 40s, and how that impacts you in your 80s or 90s, where it's like the partner that you choose, the health prioritization that you choose, where you chose to put your time, your money, whether you made a 5 o'clock martini, a habit versus a chamomile tea. Not to say either one is right or wrong, but like how that repetition pays off or doesn't pay off over time. And I thought that was so interesting to think about. What is your greatest currency? And that might not be money. So what are the other kinds of currencies out there, and what's more important to you right now in this phase of your life?
Well, I love that question right now, right? So the currencies are money, their credibility, their time. For a lot of people, it's things. So, money could be in the bank or money could be spent on these certain things, could be experiences. Any of those make sense. And there's probably a ton more that I didn't list there, but it's what one matters to you right now.
In this season. Yeah.
So 10 years ago, my biggest currency was title, and then it became money, and now it's time. And I don't know how long it will be time. I mean, we've talked a lot about what time means to me. I don't know how long it will be that. I don't know if it'll change again. But once you know what that currency is, then you get to make the rules around how you're going to bring more of that into your life.
And you also talk a lot about like choice and autonomy. And one of the things I also love that when you talk about choice and autonomy, you talk about privilege too, which I think is really great for thought leaders to recognize when we're like, all you have to do is just get up and work. And it's like, well, we're not all getting up in the same house. We're not all getting up with the same like education or the same household. So I love that you preface that. But like, what does it mean to choose your ideal life design, your rich life design? Because a lot of us think or truly believe that like, this is the job that I have, or this is the cards that I'm dealt. How do I change? How do I adjust?
Well, and the cards that you're dealt are important, and we need to acknowledge that. That also, in many ways, changes over time. That might change because of a macro thing that happened, like a global pandemic. It might change because of a micro thing that happened, like, I don't know, you invested in Bitcoin 8 years ago. Who knows, right? And I think a lot of it is about clearing all of that out, and also clearing out, I think, sometimes some old visions of what you thought your life was going to be or should be, letting some of that go and thinking about what you want it to be right now.
Yeah. I remember like 10 years ago, I could probably find my application for like Survivor or The Amazing Race and like, I want to be on a reality show and do this. I could not think of anything I want to do less today than be on a reality show. I will watch the reality show, but I will not be on it. And so it just shows like how like what was so important to us at this point in our life, like I could care less about right now.
I mean, 10 years ago, I did this like bungee jumping thing, and now I can't look out a third story window without shaking. I hate heights, right? Like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
But is what it is.
Well, we were just talking about someone on the team here whose shoe was untied. And I was like, will you please tie your shoe? And you were like, did you notice people's shoes untied before becoming a mom? And I did not. I could not care. I was not looking at if your shoe was untied and you were going to trip and hit your head. So how did...
But now it produces anxiety.
Like, tie your shoe before we go live. How did becoming a mom change your... the way you think about work, change the way you think about your rich life design?
I love this question, but I want to preface that I'm answering it only for me. There is a little bit of like the mommy wars that I hope are over now.
Yeah.
This is everyone gets to choose for themselves. For me, I was raised by a single mom who wanted to be around more than she could.
Mhm.
It was not in the cards for us then.
Yeah.
And so for me, a lot of it is being very intentional about how I spend my time, where I make my money, and to a certain extent, how much money I actually need,
Mhm.
so that I can spend as much time as I can with my children. That is for me right now.
Mhm.
That might change in 5 years, and that doesn't have to be for anybody else.
Yeah.
But I think when I am coaching people on negotiation, a lot of people think it's the tactics of negotiation. Like that's where it is. And that's what I love. And that's where the research is. And we can absolutely talk about how to be successful in your negotiation. But what I find is that the power of negotiation comes before that. It's in what do you want to negotiate for? 99% of the people who come to me for coaching say, I want to negotiate a raise. But when you really push underneath that, it's not the raise they want. It might be the promotion. It might be the credibility. It might be the respect. It might be the thing the raise is going to buy. But the paths to those are all different, right? I mean, if when I say why, someone says, because I want to make as much money as I can, that's my currency right now. The answer to that is, well, actually, you don't want to negotiate a raise. We know from Claudia Golden, who won the Nobel Prize, you want to negotiate a promotion. Because a promotion is actually going to increase your financial over the long haul much more. So if what you really want is money, then let's negotiate a promotion. If what you really want is credibility, then we need to think about what your title is. And your title might be different externally. If what you really want is autonomy, then we need to think about how your role is crafted. There's all kinds of different things that we can do once you get underneath that. What is it that you really want?
How does one get underneath that? Because sometimes I find myself chasing something that I realize is someone else's dream and I get it. And I'm like, oh, I didn't really want this. I just had FOMO. Like I just thought that because I'm a speaker or because I'm doing this, then that means I should be doing that. So how do you really know what you want and what is comparison telling you that you want?
One, I think that many people have people or places that are a touchstone, and it's knowing what your touchstone is. Is it a quiet afternoon hiking? Is it a conversation with your best friend from second grade? Is it a weekend with your parents and the house you grew up in? What is your touchstone? But then from that, when you've connected with that thing that allows you to feel like you're your truest self, the question that I really like to ask is, if I had a magic wand and I gave it to you, what would your life look like in a year? And what I find with that question is, and I'm a research nerd, right?
Yeah.
But one of the most interesting studies I reviewed was two researchers who brought children into the lab, gave them a coloring page. The children colored it. And when the children brought it back up to the researcher says, what do I owe you? And what they found is that little girls were asking for 40% less than little boys at the age of 8, which means that before our children know that the tooth fairy isn't real,
Right.
the little girls know that there's something about negotiating that is scary. And what I like about the magic wand question is it sort of strips away some of those societal concepts of what we're supposed to want or supposed to ask for and allows it to be your world again. We found in the research another way to do that is to say, if you were advising a friend with your identical experience and background, what would you say they should ask for?
Oh, that's fascinating.
Because
I will fight for my friends all day long. Yeah.
Exactly. And so what we find is that when women are asked to estimate their own market value, we tend to underestimate ourselves between 20 and 40% quite significantly. But when we estimate someone else's market value, we are almost spot on.
Oh my gosh.
And so if we can strip away that feeling of self and kind of assign it to a friend, all of a sudden you can start to get a little bit closer to what the truth might be.
I had in Mic Drop Workshop, obviously we help women get paid speaking gigs. And it is fascinating to me where these women come into our program with like loads of experience or just have started something or written a book. And they're like, do you think I can ask for $500? And I'm like, add another zero and double it.
Yeah.
And they are, just like can't even hit send on the invoice or the email. And I'm like, I see, and no offense to any of the men in this room right now, but like when I am on stages, and I know that you see this, I see so many men up there that are not ranking as high as the women speakers, but like charging 20, 30K and not even feeling any sort of mental gymnastics around it whatsoever.
Well, and I think good for the guys.
Right.
Like, this is not an great job.
Yeah. Something you
now
said
let's
before
get the
is
women
like,
where we are.
you can be pro women without being anti men. Yeah. And I love that, because it's like, yeah, there's nothing. When I found out that I was at an event that I got paid $8,500 to speak, and then I found out that the man who was speaking there got paid $50,000. Yeah. I, instead of being like, who do you think you are? I wanted to be like, can I get you coffee? And
tell me a little bit about how you did
how
this.
did you do that? Mm-hmm. And so what is it? But the thing that I really like that you do is that it's not a copy paste what men do to get the 50K and what women do. It's different research. So can you shed light into that?
Sure. So the 3 strategies that we talk a lot about on women in negotiating is to think holistically, ask relationally, and discuss collaboratively. Do you want me to kind of tell you?
Did you write that down? I'm just joking.
On think holistically, what is your overarching goal, to your point? Like, what is your currency? And then from there, what can you ask for that helps you reach that? And we have this list of 76 things that we've seen women ask for.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Thank you. That are all kinds of different and creative ways. Plenty of them are compensation, but plenty of them aren't, because our life is multidimensional. Mm-hmm. So 1, think holistically. 2, ask relationally. And this is actually what my TEDx talk was on, where I met you, which is that the research on this shows that if women ask relationally, we are significantly more likely to be successful, and we virtually eliminate the risk of backlash, which means that, when you were talking about the woman who couldn't hit send on things, part of what was driving her is the fear of hearing no. I want to remove that fear by showing you a way to ask where no just becomes a piece of information. It's not, there's no real cost to it. And we have a formula to that, which is your past performance plus the future vision plus your ask, and then stop talking. Because we found that women are so great, they'll just keep talking to make their negotiation partner feel better. So number 1, think holistically. Number 2, ask relationally. And then number 3, discuss collaboratively. So we tend to go into negotiations with this sort of you versus me mindset. But if we can flip it to an us versus the problem mindset, then all of a sudden we can chat about what helps us get to that the best. And in any negotiation, I have information you don't have, and you have information I don't have. And so if we can make it a collaborative discussion and get that information on the table, we will reach a better outcome for both of us.
Instead of thinking of it as conflict.
Yes.
One of the things that you said is about the no. I want to circle back to that, because I think what I see at Mic Drop Workshop, a lot of women won't apply for the TED Talk, or won't, like, they'll submit for the breakout but not the keynote, because they're like, I just don't think I am qualified yet. I'm not ready. But you have an interesting take on hearing no. Tell me about it.
I like to hear no. And this is kind of next level, but I like to hear no, because that means that I have reached the top of what you're willing to give. And now we're going to back it down to where we both feel comfortable. The thing about no is it is a key to more information, because there's now a time delay on the decision. So for example, you're my boss and I come to you and I ask to be promoted, and you say, Kathryn, you're not qualified for that right now. Okay. I understand that I'm not qualified for that right now. Can you tell me what I would need to do to demonstrate that I am qualified for it the next time the opportunity comes around? And so now there's no promotion happening right now. The stakes are very low at this point. And so you're going to say, well, in order for you to be qualified, you're going to need to show X, Y, and Z. You've now given me it's like going back to school. You've now given me the exact rubric of the 3 things I need to go do so that next time I'm going to get a yes from you. So as long as I document those, deliver those, and let you know I delivered those, the next negotiation is sort of a predetermined conversation, which is exactly what we want them to be.
Do you ever have women like myself that maybe back down in those situations for fear of being annoying?
Yes. The term we like to use, which is not my term, but the one we use at the office, is we want to be relentlessly pleasant.
Okay.
And so I am.
But aren't you also just like, a guy would never worry about this?
What specifically would the guy not worry about?
Like coming across as too persistent or coming across as too eager.
I've kind of wondered about that. And I love the research. I don't have any research on this. I think what you're saying might be true for a ton of men in their 50s.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look now at my husband and at my sons, what I see is that the world has evolved from hierarchical to much more collaborative. And so my sons are also much more aware of how other people feel about them and if they're hurting feelings and if people are included. And I wonder if there's an evolution where the way women are incentivized to negotiate now actually becomes the way we all need to negotiate in 10 or 20 years.
Interesting.
Because have you seen men start to get iced out because they're a little too aggressive?
Mm-hmm.
I have too. And so I do feel like there was this talk track, especially when I started doing this research 10 years ago of like, oh, just think like a man. But I think the way men are evolving so rapidly too, that I don't know that I see that as much as I maybe used to.
Well, and I see it in public speaking. One of the reasons why we do what we do and why we started like Mic Drop Club, these performance-based programs, is because historically speaking practice and speaking skills are very masculine.
Yeah.
Even we've had women that come in that say, well, my boss said I need to like lower my voice, like actually change my tone to be perceived more seriously. And I think you're right that hopefully that is aging out. But it is still this going back to just like the feeling like, am I going to be annoying if I press? Even if I don't get a speaking opportunity, it's like, if I follow up, is that, am I being, even though I know that works, I've gotten so much business from following up. How do you get past that? It's not even imposter syndrome. It's like, just not wanting to come across as too.
Well, I think sometimes you can call it out. Like, hey, I don't want to be annoying to you, but I really respect your organization. I would love to be on your stage one day. Mm-hmm. Can you let me know what I would need to do so that, this time next year when your conference happens, I might be a good match? Mm-hmm. We don't follow up 15 times.
Right.
But I think we can follow up a few.
Yeah.
And one piece of advice I took from one of the podcasts that you did in the past was on the second or third follow-up, the one that I work with now on this says, hey, just wanted to see if you need anything. This will be my last follow-up. And we get a ton of responses to that because everyone's busy and most of the time they did not follow up because it wasn't important. They didn't follow up because someone got sick. There was a fire at work. Right. They were actually executing an event. There was any number of things.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I can do more is like, I think when I don't hear something or it's like, well, they must not like me. They don't want to hire me. But it's like, assume good intent. Assume that they have something else going on. And I feel like that's probably what a lot of this like communication around negotiation is like, what is the best intention that they want? Am I getting warm?
Yeah. Yes. The other thing, just because you mentioned voice, after the TEDx that we did together, one of the emails that I got within 24 hours was, loved your talk. If you want to be taken seriously, you need a voice coach.
No.
Here's the person I would reach out to. And the email was incredibly well-intentioned. I really like the person who sent that note. I respect her a lot.
You know them?
She's a very famous professor. I respect her a lot. It's not going to be my top priority right now because... Is she wrong? Absolutely not. She's probably right. But of all the things that I could do to help women, changing my voice isn't
one of them.
It's not a top priority. Getting on more stages to bring these tools to more women, that's a priority. Mm-hmm. I don't think that I have to change my voice to do it yet. There might be a point in time. Let's imagine a world where I've talked to 99% of the women in the United States. Maybe then, but
That is fascinating. But you seem to be someone who can roll with it. That might have derailed me. How do you you have like fought with the best at like McKinsey, you turned down Harvard and Yale and like all these things. Like how are you so level-headed in these kind of
You fail a bunch
Yeah.
and you realize that it's okay because you failed a bunch.
Yeah.
I didn't get the McKinsey thing the first or the second time I tried.
Yeah.
I've almost Jess, I don't know that I can come up with very many examples of things that I've wanted that I've gotten the first time I tried. But I've gotten a lot of them the third or fourth time I tried.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I also love about you after hearing you speak is this question that you asked yourself, both when you were deciding to go to UVA and also when it was time to turn the page in your career. You looked around and asked yourself, do people seem happy? And I think that that is like such a catalyst for the work that you do today. A lot of people think that it's around negotiation and salary, but it is about like creating the life design path that works best for you. What, someone who, no matter where they're at in their career, maybe they're like knee deep, maybe they're just getting started. What are some things or questions that someone could ask themselves to start to build their rich life design?
I love the magic wand question. But I think another question is like looking at it over the course of your life. I mean, one of the reasons why I get to prioritize time right now is because I prioritized money in my 20s. And I got lucky. Like I graduated in 2008. Anything that I was able to save, stock market was what? Worth a third? Like anything I was able to save has done really well since then. I think one thing, as much as I love and I'm a huge proponent of negotiation, luck plays a much bigger role than most people want to acknowledge.
Yeah.
And so I think thinking about, one, what do you want your life to look like? Two, what does that mean right now? And then three, just acknowledging that we can take the actions, but we can't always control the outcome. And so what actions when you go to bed at night are you going to feel glad that you did? Right? You started your own company.
Yeah.
That's a lot riskier than going to work at some company that is going to be a pretty steady paycheck. In both of those instances, though, your personality type is one that's going to work a lot.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, when you fall into bed exhausted, is it exhausted that you feel good about or one that you always kind of questioned?
It is so funny. Like the good exhaustion is building something I love or chasing around my toddler or even like the sleepless nights with kids. I'm like, I'll take it. I know it's temporary. I know it's like going to be fleeting. But then there's the bad exhaustion of like chasing something that I don't really love or putting out fires at work. And so like recognizing the good exhaustion is a really great way to look at your output.
And I think recognizing when you have that feeling and just noting it down. Like I have that feeling when I have coffee chats just because I went through a phase where I loved coffee chats. Now I want to be with my kids.
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm happy to have a conversation with you if there's, a specific thing that I can help your audience with or your company with. But outside of that, I want to be with these little people that I'm helping become hopefully really successful adults.
Same thing where I've had a really tough time being able to say no without a reason other than spending time with. It's not like, oh no, I'm speaking at a conference that day. It's like, no, it's my time. It's not up for grabs anymore.
I think it's really hard for people who are ambitious.
Yeah.
I mean, I was used to working a gajillion hours and sleeping under my desk and all the things. And now realizing that if I'm not going to be spending time with my kids, I either need to get a ton of enjoyment out of it or I need to be getting paid for it.
Yeah. 100%.
Because these little people are my legacy.
Kathryn, thank you so much. Give Kathryn Valentine a follow on LinkedIn. Book her to speak at your next event. Anywhere else people can find you?
Oh, if that list of 76 things you can negotiate would be helpful, you can get it at 76things.com.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Amplify. If you're a fan of the show, show us some podcast love by giving us a rating and review. This episode is brought to you by Mic Drop Workshop, where you can learn how to become a better speaker, how to land paid speaking gigs, and become a keynote speaker. This episode was edited and produced by Walk West. I'm Jess Ekstrom, reminding you that you deserve the biggest stage, so let's find out how to get you there. I'll see you again soon.